Welcome to the Beyond Physio podcast. Today I have a very special guest, as every guest is so special. We have Scott Gordon on our show. Scott is a friend I've met through a group called F3. It's a workout group filled with a lot of guys who have same values and are looking to keep in shape. And the group is awesome because it's very open and it allows for people from all fitness levels to come in. And as part of our podcast, I wanted to showcase one of our brothers here, Scott, and have him talk about stuff that he does and also how his next level experience has helped him to become an even better athlete. Welcome to the Beyond Physio podcast, where we help you move, excel, and inspire others on your journey to your next level with knowledge and advice from experts and testimonials from our like-minded community. Scott, welcome to our show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming out and making part of your day to come out here. So a couple of questions, Scott. So tell us, what about what's your main activity that you do that you have are really passionate about physically?
I mean, I'd probably just say running.
Yeah.
Running is my number one activity. You know, I do a lot of the boot camps and kind of the other things that come with F3, but what I enjoy most is the running.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, I know you played lacrosse growing up.
I did.
When did you make that transition from lacrosse over to full-time running?
Well, I played lacrosse in college, and then actually junior year of college, I also decided to run cross country. So that's when I kind of first started running, you know, for the sake of running. Before it was always, you know, with the point to chase a ball and do that. So, and then I kind of, you know, after college, I just kind of maintained it a little bit, you know, not running a whole lot, but, you know, just enough to kind of get my fill. I still played a little bit of lacrosse. But I'd say I didn't really get real passionate about running until probably about, you know, 2019, 2020.
Oh, so what made that transition happen?
You know, just the circles you run with, the people you hang out with, you know, they're doing it, and, or you hear that they've done some cool things, and you're like, maybe I can do that. I'll give that a shot, you know, half marathon. All right, I'll try that. Marathon. Okay, I'll try that.
That's awesome.
Ultra marathon. Yeah, let's give it a shot. So
you just keep upping the ante.
That's it. Just keep going farther and farther. See how far and go.
Yeah, that's great. So Scott, tell us about, you know, along that time frame of getting into these increasing distances. We do see, as you know, a lot of ultra runners and runners of all levels, but one of the things that we have found to be true in runners, and the statistics unfortunately show, is that the longer you run, the more injury prone you might become. Has that been part of your history too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just overuse injuries are a big thing. I mean, you know, playing sports, you know, growing up and in college, it was always like there was a reason for your injury. You rolled your ankle or you fell or got hit. Overuse injuries they're different because they're just, you know, it's not a one-time thing. It just progressively gets worse, and before you know it, you're injured and you're trying to figure out what happened.
Absolutely. Now, Scott, along the way, you've had physical therapy before for different things. Can you tell us about some of the injuries that have really sort of plagued you as a runner?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a little bout with whatever they call runner's knee. But I think my biggest, you know, thing that got me the most was plantar fasciitis, and then I had dealt with that for a long time. I think it actually goes back to when I still used to play lacrosse. You know, as you get older, cleats are not very supportive, and I think that probably got it fired up for me the first time. Then I got out of lacrosse and I stopped wearing cleats, but I was still having issues, and that's when I, you know, started to realize that's just it. You know, as a result of overuse. You know, a lot of running and not a lot of other things.
Yeah. Now, you have, like many of our runners, have tried other things and maybe has some temporary benefit. What are some of the things that other PTs have done for you to help treat some of that? And how effective was that over the long run?
I mean, I had stretches. You know, they gave me stretches, which, you know, felt, you know, gave some temporary relief. But you really had to stay with them. And then, you know, I'd wear a night splint, and, you know, that would make the next morning better. I mean, if you know plantar fasciitis, you know the first steps in the morning are the worst. That would help there, but ultimately being on my feet all day and continuing to run, you know, by the end of the day, and right back where I started, I had tried insoles. I had some custom insoles, you know, over-the-counter insoles. Help with some varying degrees. You know, I'd get pretty excited. I think it's working, and then, you know, then you're kind of right back to it. So
yeah. Now, as far as your experience at Next Level, how was that experience maybe from the beginning? How was it different for you as compared to the other physical therapy you've tried?
I mean, I think it was just, I felt like, it was really, it was a very calculated approach. And I knew coming in that it was going to be a little bit of a battle, but, and there were times along the way that I started to wonder, is this working? But, I think that, just kind of the long-term approach to getting it better in the long run.
Yeah.
Because, before it was like, oh, you feel better? Good, you're done. That's it.
Yeah.
So
that's right. It's funny because when we nailed the root cause of your plantar fascia coming from your running gait, which is where we spent a lot of time, and then strengthening the different muscles to support your foot better, I think we had a turning point, along with some of the things that we've tried that are more cutting edge, like the shockwave, performance strength needling, and BFR. Is that something you agree with?
Oh, absolutely. And, when you think about, a lot of these books you read on running, they talk about changing your gait, but I thought to myself, I've run for so long, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. So let's just try to get better without doing that.
Right.
And about halfway through, I realized I'm running different. My gait is different. I picked up on it, and then I just thought it would maybe go back, and it really hasn't. I think, a lot of the drills and the exercises, that I was put through, and then, the BFR and the needling. I think the main reason I came in, gave you a call was because I heard you had shockwave.
Yeah.
And I had heard that shockwave might help my plantar, and I was at wit's end, so I figured anything would be worth it. And then, I came in for that, and you kind of gave me the whole deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we actually, it's funny because we talk about these things, these tools that we use to help get people through their pain phase or phase one, because a lot of the time, in order to correct the root cause, we have to spend time in phase two and phase three, which is really about getting those drills down, making sure that you have the right running habits and form right, and making sure that you're progressing intelligently, because as you know, and you and I have been through this before as athletes ourselves, like we start feeling better and we start wanting to do all these crazy things again. But I think the cool thing is that you actually were really bought into the plan, you stuck with it, even though the progress was slow at first. I think that's the reason why you were able to do the things that you have done now for the last 3 months without any kinds of issues there.
Yeah, that's right. It was at times when I was wondering if it was working, and it really has. And when I finally got, when I told you that I wanted to do the Black Canyons Ultra in February, your eyebrows went up, and you were like, okay, well, let's, that might have been faster than we were thinking.
Yeah.
But you put together a plan, and we stuck to it. I knew my miles weren't going to be up to where they would have probably normally have been, but I got through it. I think I sent you a picture of my foot afterwards, and I said it made it, and I'm not having any pain, and I was as excited as I could be. So
that's awesome, Scott. And Scott, if for other people who are looking for a longer term solution, especially if they're a runner or a lifelong athlete, which is typically the clientele that we see in their 30s and 40s and 50s, what kind of things would you tell them to expect coming into Next Level?
I just think that I would, that you're going to look at the holistic approach. I've changed other things that we haven't even talked about, like I've changed my diet, my protein intake, and creatine. And again, at the time, do you feel any different the first week you take creatine? No, but I think I really feel it now. And certainly the protein, I was very protein deficient, and I didn't think it. I just thought I had a healthy diet.
Yeah.
So I just think that's what they can expect. It's going to be a whole, multi-phase, of what you're doing and what you're doing to get better.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if there are like one or two adjectives that come to mind when you think about Next Level, what are those things that come to mind?
I would just, comprehensive and thorough and encouraging. I think that, along the way, you were understanding and as what I was going through, but also, encouraging me and keeping me, on track and engaged.
Yes.
So that was very, just with other places that I have been, it was just, I'd go there and I'd leave and I'd have some exercises. You're texting me and following up, or emails, and you've got a whole plan on a sheet for me, and it's just great. Makes you feel important, like someone really cares about you getting better. So
that's awesome. Scott, thank you so much for sharing your story with us and for our audience out there. And for anyone who's out there or knows anyone who is a runner or a lifelong athlete and is really frustrated or maybe even worried that they won't get back to the things that they love to do, we do offer a free consultation for any of our clients, whether it's virtual or in person. So let us know, and we'd be happy to be a resource and point you in the right direction at the very least. But Scott, thank you so much for coming on our podcast to share your story, and I wish you the best in your running career.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much for tuning into today's episode. It really does mean a lot to us. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or comment if you got at least one or two helpful insights or takeaways to help you get to your next level.